Hello there. Welcome to this amazing session where we learn about leveraging AI cross-functionally for business efficiency. This is going to be an insightful session, regardless of where you are on your entrepreneurial journey, whether you're considering just getting started or you're already in the middle of it and you're having a tough time, being organized or knowing what is next, or you're already doing well in your business. However, you know there's still more you can do better. Regardless of where you are on your entrepreneurial journey, this lesson promises to be insightful and quite valuable. So let's get started. Before I go on, if you're watching me for the first time, if you're coming across my webinar, my training, my session for the first time, my name is Tolu. People call me Coach Yvonne. I'm an international business coach, and it's my absolute passion to make the entrepreneurial journey easier. I've worked with multinationals. I've advised leadership of multinational companies on business strategy, operational strategy, and business optimization through automation. So today we're going to be learning about business. Across them, we're going to be learning about integrating or leveraging AI cross-functionally to ensure efficiency in every area or every function within our business. So, without further ado, let's get started. So, what does AI mean? Let's start from there. AI means artificial intelligence. So, you already know what the human intelligence looks like. I give you a piece of information, you process that information, and you give me, if I ask you a question, you receive the question, you process the information and you give me a response. Of course, your response will be from the depth or the size of your knowledge in regards to that topic, right? So if I ask you about what you don't know, the likelihood that you would give me an accurate response, or if you have minimal knowledge about that subject matter, the chances that you would give me sufficient information are very slim. Now, intelligence is the processing of information, like how you process information and how you utilize information, right? To meet goals, to meet objectives. That is what intelligence means. Now, we all know that the original intelligence is the human intelligence. Please, if we have any questions, we can leave it in the chat room. We all know that the original intelligence is the human intelligence. Any other intelligence, like AI, is referred to as artificial intelligence. The ability, the capacity, and the ability to process information to meet objectives, to meet goals, to meet intentions. So now that we are clear on what intelligence is and what makes original natural intelligence and artificial intelligence, and why the other one, the option B, is artificial, because the original and the natural intelligence is the human intelligence. Now, let's go further. To apply this understanding that we just gained, let's apply it to context. So artificial intelligence is reshaping modern business, right? So in this model, or in this training, in this interaction, we will unveil the immense value that AI is delivering to businesses today, from boosting efficiency to unlocking game-changing synergies, right? So to, doing your business research, to collating and doing it and actually fast tracking it, cutting down the time and the work effort required to have a documented or a well-gathered research, right? So the time frame required for that, you can leverage AI to cut it down. The work effort required, anything, even in an area of business that you have little to no knowledge about, you can learn, you can acquire knowledge with AI. You can also automate processes with artificial intelligence, and so on and so forth. So businesses are really replacing, ironically, businesses are replacing the original or natural knowledge, natural intelligence, with the artificial intelligence in today's era. So we are saying that, from boosting efficiency to, game-changing synergies, like integrating artificial intelligence, functional ones, to, carrying out business procedures, business operations, in replacement for human effort, for more accuracy, for better speed, and so on and so forth. So in this session, get your notepads, get any kind of material, whether soft material or hard material, with which you gather information or take notes. I would recommend that you get that ready right now. Put any distraction aside so that you could maximize the value in this conversation. So get ready to harness the full potential of AI and propel your business into the future. You want to be competitive. If your competitors are saving time, they're saving costs, and they're getting more output, getting better results, obviously they already have an advantage over you. And that is why it is important to understand how every business owner should be thinking AI when it comes to leverage and when it comes to optimization. Empower yourself with practical strategies for seamlessly integrating AI across your organization, transforming business functions, and maximizing generative AI capabilities. The future belongs to AI adopters. Let's embark on this transformative journey together. So now that we have taken that out of the way, let's dive in. AI revolution. In the past, there's been a rapid AI revolution in the past 2 to 3 years, 2022 to be precise, right? So there's been a rapid AI revolution. There is practically an AI for everything you can think about now. A piece of AI that has been designed, or whether for, they're even for research, for content creation, for customer service. So interactive AI, generative AI, or even for animation, even for human cloning. Like there's so many use cases for AI right in today's era. And the rapid revolution, took place in the past 2 to 3 years. Like how businesses were conducted as at 3 to 4 years ago are totally different, have totally evolved from how businesses are conducted today because of AI adoption. A lot of organizations have also found that they're getting more value, and that's why instead of being disrupted by AI, instead of your job being given to AI, of course, businesses will still need humans, but they can cut down the amount of humans. There are tasks that you just need one trigger point. That's one human to trigger, and AI takes care of the rest, right? So on a team, instead of having like several people, one person does this part, the other person does this part, now you get one person that is well trained on AI, that's generative AI or any form of AI prompting, and you get them to occupy an entire function because AI now becomes the rest of their team members. So instead of being disrupted by AI, your job being replaced by AI, what you can do for yourself is either understand AI so that you become the go-to person. If a business has to now start to downsize on their teams, right, on their business in their business functions, or you start your own business and leverage AI for its quick and rapid growth. So why do you think it's reasonable, it's a good move to adapt now, because AI has come to stay. AI has come to stay. There's nothing anybody can do about it. So why is it necessary for you? I mean, if we are talking about 2 to 3 years of revolution, there's still more in the future, but it is important that you channel your attention, your focus to the revolution and adapt it quickly enough before it becomes saturated. I mean, I don't see it being saturated anytime soon, but there is always a first mover or early mover advantage in anything, right? Especially things that end up to be, grand and beneficial on a global scale. So a strategic advantage. So of course, you want to optimize your business processes. So whether you're trying to draft a document, AI, and I'll mention some of the famous generative AI that we have in today's era, some of the very most famous ones on which some other AI use cases are built. Like there are people that are building companies right now that they are using some versions or some modifications to the existing infrastructure of some famous AI products, some famous AIs. So I'm going to mention some, but before we get there, so people are using AI to optimize their process, whether through even documenting those processes, establishing those processes. You can actually ask a generative AI to tell it what your business is, what a certain portion of your business is about, and tell it to build an effective and efficient process. You give it sufficient insight into what you're trying to achieve, what your business is about, and everything, every information you might need to process a an optimized, a well documented optimized process for you, business process. And you tell it to give you a business process, and voila, there you have it. You have a business process that you would have called probably a process analyst, a process designer, to do. That would have cost you how much, Now by yourself, as a small business, you can build structure for your business, right? Even though you are not a structure expert. All you need to do is you have to know enough, sufficient. You have to know too much. You just have to know sufficient about what you are trying to build, or the business you're trying to build a process for, so that the AI can customize. When I mean customize, the output based on the information you gave it about the business and the objective you are trying to achieve with that business practice, that process, right? So you can optimize processes, right? You can, whether through the standardization of the processes or actual practice. So you can integrate AI in different areas of your business practices by automating some things, right? And by outsourcing some things to AI agents rather than, having humans. So you just have to train those AI agents. So then innovative products. So when you are doing, whether you're documenting, you are brainstorming, you are trying to brainstorm, you don't know what your product should look like, but you know what the problem you want the product to solve. Generative AI can be your research partner from sharing the vision to fine-tuning, sharing the vision with the AI, then the AI, collaborating with the AI to fine-tune the vision into a product. Of course, you have to give it sufficient information about, the audience you are trying to target, like the people you are trying to sell to, what the product, you are not clear on what the product should look like, but you can tell it, the people you are trying to sell to, the problem you are trying to solve, and you can tell it to package a product to you. And the AI will give you, recommendations or ideas on what you can get, pricing ideas, you can get business model. Because, for example, if you're in the food industry, you can be a food trainer, you can be a cooking trainer, you can be a restaurant owner. There are different areas in the value chain. So the AI can recommend to you based on how much information you give it as per what you want. What you need to know when you're dealing with AI in innovation is you need to know what you are looking for. How you get there, AI can be your innovative partner for that. So then competitive edge. So in terms of strategies, so how to do things to outside. So you give it sufficient information about the market you're operating in, the kind of product you're selling, and maybe a few of your competitors, and what you believe that how you believe that they conduct their business. And you can tell it to recommend how you can have a competitive edge. So, you then, apart from the recommendation portion of things, you can actually integrate AI to save you time, to maximize your output, such that your competitors are trying to catch up with you because you have more outputs, more quality outputs, and speedier outputs, and all those other, performance metrics. You are doing better on those on the performance score, right? So you can get a competitive edge. Now, these are the benefits of adopting AI now. You don't want to be left behind. You don't want to be disrupted, whether as a business owner or as an employee. Now, let's talk about the risk of delaying adoption. If you don't get on the bandwagon, on the moving train right now, what do you stand to lose? Of course, if your competitors are adopting AI, then you are again, we use this word over and over again, you stand the chance of being disrupted. You stand the chance of being outbeaten out of the market. Because if all your competitors are leveraging AI to maximize their output, to increase the efficiency of their processes, to increase the quality of their products, and just, leveraging AI across different areas of to optimize their supply chain, their distribution, having their strategies, everything, and you are there still doing things a bit manual, and you are limiting it to the scope of knowledge of your team. Now, you have just limited yourself. AI has a more robust pool of knowledge than an average human, because it's from collation of years and vast bulk of data and information. So AI, you might be limiting yourself to the knowledge. Even your team members, you should encourage them or orientate them about the value in adopting AI for their daily work. It expands their horizon, it expands their knowledge. Now, the risk of delaying AI adoption, of course, we talked about decreased operational efficiency, lost market share that we mentioned. We did explain that briefly earlier. You stand the risk of being outshined by your competitors. The reduced innovation capacity, again, you're limiting everything to the scope of knowledge of your team members, right? Meanwhile, you could see beyond your nose. There's a possibility that you could see, on a bigger scale if you leverage a bigger pool of knowledge and information, like GenAI. Then impact on profitability and sustainability, of course. These are all tied together. They're all intertwined. Benefits of proactive AI implementation. Of course, you're competitive enough. Your customers are satisfied because your customer satisfaction strategies are just operational strategies. Operational strategies are, constantly ahead of the curve, and you are constantly upping the game. Then increase innovation opportunities. Then long-term success in AI-driven market. So now, let's understand. Now we've talked about AI. I've told you the benefits. You know what artificial intelligence means. What are some fundamentals that if you must about this lesson, about this session, there are some critical fundamentals that I want you to understand. Remember, within the context of this webinar, we want to learn about how to integrate AI to optimize our business results. I cannot assume that everybody on this call, whether you're a trader or you have some business of any kind, that you understand what business entails, what running a full business entails, that you understand the nitty-gritties of a business. So we're going to explain what a business is. Some people, are doing something, they're selling, they're buying, but they've like just been winging their business. They don't really have the sufficient understanding of what some fundamentals of a business, right? So we're going to dive into that quickly to understand the functions within a business that must be actively supported to work together so that your business can achieve its business goals. Then whether you're a solopreneur or you're a big company or you're a small scale company, these are critical functions that must be in your business. Whether it's run by one person or run by teams or people, it doesn't matter. There are business functions that must add up to make your business a business. So we're going to give clarity on that. Then I defined artificial intelligence briefly earlier. We're going to dive a bit more into that. Then optimization. We're going to understand what optimization means. But let's give a quick summary of each on this slide. A system of processes that involves organizing resources to produce goods or services to meet market needs and create value. At the end of the day, a business must create value. It must meet needs in the market it operates. If there's no perceived value of what you offer by the people you are offering it to, then you do not have a business. So, and perceived value could come through the product itself, the distribution approach of the product. The value has to be perceived. You have to create value at every point of contact of your product. You could be solving a problem, you could be making something better than it is already, but there has to be a perceived value, right? So, but now running the business is processes, practices, procedures, that you put together, whether it's sales procedure, purchasing of your raw materials. There are practices, there are things you do, there are activities you do with which you coordinate all the small efforts, buying the product, pricing the product, offering the product. How do you offer the product? Where is it on the digital space? Offering the product, creating visibility for the product, collecting avenues to collect money in exchange for the product, right? Ensuring that the people that are buying this product come back to buy the product. These are all critical components of a product, of a business. These are all practices and procedures and processes that take place for a business to be run effectively and for it to continue to meet its business objective. So that's why we said a system. So a business is always a system because a collection of different parts, moving parts, working synchronically, like working synchronous way, integrated in an integrated way. A system of processes that involves organizing resources to produce goods. So of course, producing goods doesn't mean you're a manufacturer. You don't have to always be the manufacturer. Producing goods, like, creating a cost is the production of goods. That's a goods. That's that's an offering. So I'm producing it by recording a content. It doesn't mean I have a manufacturing company. Anything you offer, there's a process to produce it. Whether you are even if you are not the one creating it from the scratch, it might be maybe where you are on the value chain is as a market. Maybe you have a marketing company, you market other people's goods. The process of getting services to market also, the process of creating value for the people that want to pay for you. You are producing goods. You are offering. The offering is the goods, right? Goods or services to meet market needs, and the people that you serve, they are your markets. The entities that you serve that pay you, they are your markets. And what you deliver to them that meets their needs is the value. So I hope you understand that now. Then artificial intelligence, what does it mean? The simulation of human intelligence. I told you earlier that human intelligence is the original intelligence, right? Human intelligence processes by machines, especially computer systems, capable of analyzing data. I said it earlier, so you are given a piece of information, you process it for a response that is correspondent or that is contextual to the prompting, to the, what you were asked. So that is the processing of data or information, right? Recognizing patterns. Of course, every answer you give would usually be based on if there is an existing pattern in your mind, like what you are used to, how you think, or maybe with that particular person, you might give different answers to different people. From human intelligence, you give different answers to different people with the same question. What could be the influencing factor? The influencing factor could be how they asked it, or your interaction with them in the past. That could influence how you answer that question, or your own personal historical experiences. So that's exactly what it is. So the reason I'm putting the human intelligence into context so that you understand that the artificial intelligence is a replica of the human intelligence. It's the same pattern, right? However, the advantage that artificial intelligence delivers is the vast pool of information that has been gathered over decades, over centuries in a repository. An average human, limits themselves in their information acquisition, knowledge and information acquisition. But AI has access to almost an infinite pool of information and data. And because of that, it's able to, like in different niches, one person now cannot be a lawyer, an accountant, the human developmental pattern is linear, is quite focused. But the artificial intelligence pattern is broader, it's more robust. So today, your AI can be a lawyer. The next, it's becoming an analyst, a financial analyst. You are giving it number and it's analyzing the number for you. It can be, it can draft agreements. Even though a lawyer is still a lawyer, but it can actually draft an agreement as good as a lawyer. So that is the advantage, right? So the simulation of human intelligence processes by machines. So we use machines and computer systems to simulate the human intelligence system pattern or processes. Input, process the input, and give an output. The output will be contextual to this context. The context would involve the pattern, the history, the entities involved, the pieces of information you provide. Those will all contribute to the context. So when you're thinking of artificial intelligence, it is not complex. I know people make it look like artificial intelligence. However, it is a simulation of the human intelligence. right? So I hope we get that. So especially computer systems capable of analyzing data, recognizing patterns. You know, I talked to you about patterns. It can give you unique answer based on the historical pattern, right? Making decisions, right? Like, there are AI agents now that can be your customer service agents. So they're able to think like in an intelligent way based on how you have trained them, the past information you've given them about your business, or how the tone of how you want your customers to be attended to, or the information of your product, giving all the information they need on that product. So they can think independently to see, based on the question or the inquiry of the customer, to know the most appropriate response to give to that customer to attend to the problem, to try to solve their problem. Right? They can guide the customer, they can advise the customer, they can empathize with the customer. They have artificial intelligence database has access to frameworks for standard, customer service conduct, standard any industry conduct. So they can apply all those frameworks to how they deliver when you now give them contextual training on your product. So they can actually, make decisions, sound decisions, and you can automate tasks. Like I said, there are things that you don't have to, once you just create a trigger, the rest can be done on automation and, dependencies. So you can have an AI, artificial intelligence set up in such a way that if this happens, do this, do this, do this. Like, so you create paths. And based on that, once the trigger happens and the dependency is in place, the rest of the path is fulfilled. You don't have to have a human being at every point in the flow. AI can complete the rest of the flow. Then optimization, the process of making something as effective and efficient as possible, involving improving processes, reducing waste, and enhancing productivity. That's what optimization means. When you can minimize, what your aspiration helps you minimize input for a better output. That means your cost versus results, your cost versus benefit. Your cost, what an optimization effort constantly aims at is reducing your cost to benefit ratio. So your cost ratio to benefit ratio is optimization is constantly trying to make sure that your cost ratio remains low while your benefit ratio remain at the most possible output point, which is good for any business, right? Right. So this could involve cutting out the amount of time you require in getting things done. So imagine that I needed 2 hours to bake one. I'm just for example, I needed 2 hours to bake one loaf of bread before. If there's an AI, I'm not saying there is, I'm just saying there's an AI that could bake it in 20 minutes. What does that mean to me? It means that all of a sudden now I have to bake with 2 hours I needed to bake one loaf of bread. I can now bake that's 3 times. I can now bake 6 loaves of bread, which brings more money into my pocket, because if I have the demand for all 6, now the cost, my cost has reduced. It could also be cost of money. It could be time costs. It could be just any input that you put into your production effort, so that any is your resource. So it intends to optimizer intends to maintain your resource, keep it low, and increase your output. That's what anything that does that is it's an optimizer to your business at any area of your business. So effective, it makes it effective. And remember, without diluting the quality. So maybe if I now bake that bread and all of a sudden my customers are complaining because the quality is low, because I cut down on the time I use in baking the bread. Of course, we would not say that has sustained the quality of the output, right? So that might give me more output, but is the quality sustained? Will I actually sell them? So it doesn't reduce the quality, but it increases the volume and cuts down on or maintains the input. The input could be money, it could be time, it could be natural materials, anything. So that is what, just your productivity, your output in general. That is what, and of course, it cut down your waste as well. It cuts down waste, because I mean, if something can be done in 2 hours, if you are doing it in 5 hours, the remaining 3 hours is a waste at the end of the day. So it improves your processes, it reduces your waste, it enhances your productivity. If you need just two, if there is a way you can use 2 people on payroll to achieve an objective within a certain time, and Right now you have 10 people. You can, if there's something that helps you eliminate 8 people, then you have just achieved, and the quality is the same. The time requirement does not increase because you have 2 people. Then obviously that is an optimizer, and that is what we want to see, how AI helps us achieve the optimization. So in setting up your business, if you can set up your business faster, because there are processes to setting up a business, you have to understand the business terrain, the industry, you have to, package it into a product, you have to price it, you have to know your competitors, you have to do competitive analysis, you have to build a business plan. There are steps. You have to have sufficient knowledge about, registering it, incorporating your business, where to incorporate it, or can you even incorporate it yourself? These are all information you can get from a generative AI. Before, you would have to do all these things step by step yourself, brainstorm about it, and take forever. But now you're able to achieve the same thing, even if like you don't have to involve consultants, you can achieve the same thing within a way. When I mean way, I mean way. You don't have a business consultant. So I used to do business plan for people within a way shorter time frame. You can build slides, you can build decks within a way shorter time frame, and the same quality, not if not better, because it has access to more information for analysis, than your consultants, you know. So you are now able to build the same quality or even a better quality within a shorter time frame with less hassle. That is optimization. And that's why we are discussing AI here. So now that we understand the concept of business, we understand artificial intelligence, and we understand optimization, let's move on to the next thing. So we talked about earlier at the beginning of this video, I said, regardless of where you are on your journey, you can adopt AI into your processes and your practices. So let's understand the phases of business, right? Are you at the startup phase? Are you just like, trying to, maybe I even still, maybe pre-startup, maybe we should even include pre-startup here. Maybe you're still thinking, what business should I do? Oh my, I know I want to do a business, but what problem should I solve? Or I know that I have too many options of things crossing my mind, the kind of problems I like to solve. How do I know which one I'll do better at? So these are questions that can come. So that's pre-startup. Whether you're at pre-startup, AI can also help you. You can leverage AI. If you're at startup, now you are clear. You have clarity on what business to do, what you should sell. You have, we have a course called 4 Cardinal Points, figuring out the business, how to figure out what the businesses that you have a high chance of success at using a 4 Cardinal Point approach. So we have a webinar coming up on that, and we have a course on that. You can grab that, and it can help you if you're still at your pre-start. If you are listening to me right now and you are at your pre-startup phase, right? However, if you're already a startup, that means you already have clarity on what product to sell or what service to do, or what you should do, right? So what you are trying to do at this phase is you're trying to focus on establishing a market presence and developing a minimum viable product. That means you're not putting too much money in building a product, but you're trying to build something, a proof of concept, something minimal. That's why it's called minimum viable product. It is usable by your target audience, by your market, but it's not a full-fledged product with too many investment. It's just something minimal that shows that, to prove the concept you have, that there's actually a need in the market for what you're trying to deliver. So it doesn't have to be in its best version. It doesn't have to be in the most fine-tuned version or in the most nicely packaged or best form. But you are trying to establish a presence in the market. That means you have clarity already on the product or service you should sell. You know who your target market, you know what your target market looks like. You know how to reach them, and you are just trying to put it in front of them to say, oh, I'm here, and you want to see what their reaction to it is, to the minimum version of the product, to see if there's a need or a demand for that product. Then the growth phase, this is at the early stage of you're just you're trying to get traction. At the growth phase, now you've established that yes, there is a need. Some people would pay for what I'm offering. Now you are scaling. That means you are trying to bring down the cost of production, of repeated production or product maintenance, depending on what kind of industry you are. If you're in tech, product maintenance, adding more features to your product, of course, to entice and retain your users, to excite them. if you are in production, if you are in commodity production, you're trying to, maybe do more varieties of your product so that people that don't like green or that like multiple colors of it, you're just trying to now add more to sustain the enthusiasm of your users. So then you are trying to do it by also we are still very mindful of bringing down your costs, scaling, bringing down your costs. So getting your product at a more affordable rate, and getting it to a bigger audience. That is what your growth phase is about. You are expanding your customer base. You are streamlining your process. You are trying to say, okay, which process is not adding value, which part of any process is not adding direct value, which one is the cost of value more than the value itself. You are eliminating things that are redundant in your practices. You are focusing on things that help you grow or that accelerate your growth rate. That is where your growth phase is. So you can notice the reason I'm walking through this is so that you can identify where you are on your entrepreneurial journey. Maturity phase is where you are consolidating. Now you are known, you are an industry expert, you are known in the industry, right? Before, I mean, people know your brand, they know your product. So you are consolidating your marketing position, right? That you are optimizing internal operations and you are exploring, you are thinking of expansion as well. So you are saying, oh, okay, you know what? I started this thing as dining restaurants, just using as an example. And now we have branches everywhere. That growth phase, you've expanded, every other street has a branch of your product. Now you have exceeded that growth phase, you are now everywhere. Now you want to now see how you want to diversify. That is a maturity phase. You are established in the line of business. You now want to see how you can expand, not customer base now, or not market presence. You are trying to expand offerings, the offerings in under your brand. So that optimizing internal operations and exploring new revenue streams. Now, renewal or decline phase. So you are now at this phase, you're everywhere. You have multiple revenue streams under your business entity. Now, this is the phase where you are guarding and protecting against market saturation. That means you are stepping, you have the resources. Remember, at this phase, you have sufficient resource to be positioned to edge against market saturation or disruption. That means, you are spending money into research and, just staying ahead of the curve to remain consistently relevant in the industry. So that is that. I thought to mention that. Now, empowering business functions with AI. Let's discuss the critical functions that must be in any business. Whether you're a one-man business or you're a small team business or you're a multinational, a Fortune 500 company, you might have more than this 5 functions. However, you must at the least have these 5 functions in your business. Now, some people might now split each function into smaller functions. That's how you will see some big companies, they will have plenty departments. But at the end of the day, these are the 5 functions that every other function can come under, right? And they tie together to give your business the support, the backbone, or the structure it needs to continue to be productive. Now, let's start from finance. Now, when we talk about finance, we are talking about it's how money is managed in your business. So you're talking about your cash flow, cash burn, how money comes into your business, funding. So under funding, there are different ways to fund your business. You can either bootstrap by saving, whether you're just trying to start out, you can save, you can get a loan, you can have investors, through venture capital or angel investment, different ways of funding. So under finance, there is funding, there is treasury management. That's how much money, cash you leave in the business. How you invest funds. When you have too much cash, do you want to invest in assets, other assets? These are the conversations, how you plan your finances, how you budget, right? So these are the conversations under finance. So finance usually would have like 3 phases. It has planning, like when you're talking about finance, before you execute any financial plan, you need to have clarity. So things like budgeting, they go under it, right? Then we have the tracking. You have to track when things are that when your expenses have been incurred, you have to track them. Then record keeping, right? You have to, keep records and everything. So finance has different, anything that has to do with money, right? How money is managed within your business. That is a very critical component of any business. That's why some businesses might be generating a lot of revenue. However, because every function within your business should be integrated, should be intertwined with one another, should be overlapping somehow. There's you have a point of overlap where they connect with one another. But when there's a disconnection, you can have having sales, a lot of sales, we can have a lot of revenue from sales, but because the financial management of your business is poor, you never retain sufficient, you never get sufficient resources, financial resource for scaling, for expansion, right? Or so the finance components you have to, there's a planning portion where you plan effectively, and guess what? You can use AI for planning as well, right? There's a planning portion. There is the tracking portion. You can automate your expense tracking, right, with systems and software. There is a tracking portion. There is a record keeping function and things like that. So now let's talk resource management. So I'm sure there is no business you see today that doesn't have finance. While some people might not be as active in maybe their financial planning, their budgeting, and things like that, but they keep log of the sales they make. They might, there are a lot of components within finance, right? That you can actually put this topic in a generative AI and say, what are all the considerations I need as a business owner or someone starting out a business under the finance function of my business? They will give you planning, budgeting, cash flow management, your cash burn, your profit and loss, your ledger, like so much. There are so many topics around it, right? So your accounting, how you account for expenditure after, income and expenditure and things like that. Then let's go to resource management. So there are two major types of resource. We have the material resource and we have the human resource. They both fall under resource management. It is from the resource management function of a business that we now have HR, you now have asset management. That means like a department that manages computers, phones, devices, and things like that. A department that, those are all assets. What is an asset? Anything that holds some form of monetary value, right? So resources, and what makes an asset a resource? If this is being used by the business to create value, to whether for its internal operations or customer-facing operations. Of course, your computer, you chat your customers straight. A software could be a resource as well. A human could be a resource. They are the ones doing the work, right? So the human, that's human labor. So you have HR under this. You have asset management, device asset management. You have different, people that raw materials. How you manage inventory for your raw materials or any equipment you use in production, right? That contributes. That's an input into your production is a resource. So this is a big function within your business that can be fleshed out into different business departments. Whether you are a person or you are a team or you're a large-scale organization, you need to have finance, you need to have resource management, which includes human resource and material resource. Those are the two major areas in resource management, human and material resource. Then operations. So this is how you deliver goods or services efficiently through effective production and distribution. So remember that at the end of the day, how your goods and services are produced and distributed is very critical to how your customers, these are your paying customers, receive it. So how you produce it, that's the portion of operations, the coordination of human effort, coordination of materials, coordination of things, your resources, right? Coordination of resources, the previous function. The resource management is, keeping tab of them, managing them, making sure that your humans are feeling fine. They like the workplace, they're well compensated, they don't have, you are managing risk under that as well. Under both resource management and operations, you are managing the human risk, that no sabotage, no, they are not calling in sick on a day that you need them to attend to customers, all those kind of things. There's a lot that goes into all those things. But guess what? with generative AI, you can always ask questions about knowing the base knowledge, having the base information about what is required helps you to interact with generative AI to get more precise information, right? So operations is how you use all those resources to produce whatever you are producing, whatever you offer, whether it's a service, if you're a customer service agency, how operations is you're training your resources to conduct. That's your structure. You have structure. This person does it this time. This is how we do it. Your processes, your procedures, your policies, your operation. Those are all the things that contribute into how you produce. So how do we do this? For us to produce, this is the amount of water we put in this bakery. So your standard operating procedures, they go under your policies, the things that guide you, they go under your operations in your production effort, right? Then the distribution effort as well, your distribution avenue. So is it online? Are we delivering this value online? Is it in person? Is it through, are we using third-party distribution outlets? Are we handling the distribution in-house? Everything, all these things, how do we mitigate risk under distribution and production? All these things go under your operations. Then marketing and sales. What does marketing mean? It means any avenue through which you put your product in front of your product or services, in front of its target audience. Remember, its target audience. So your marketing efforts will be effective if it's targeted as the right target audience, not you just doing hit and miss, right? So under your marketing efforts, you need to know whom your target audiences are and where to find them. So that influences your work effort to, putting your product in those places. And sales there is a process, a conversion process from marketing to sales, but they could be under the same function. It requires your customer to, first of all, know about the product. If you do a good work at marketing, the end goal of a marketing effort is sales. So they're joined together. The end goal of a marketing effort is sales. If you do a good market, if you present your product well, the communication is clear, they see the value in it, they understand how it works, they are not confused, you don't leave them confused. You present the message in an attractive way because there are a lot of things competing for your audience's attention in today's marketing space, especially with digital marketing. So you present the product well, your graphics are nice and everything. There are a lot that more. We have courses on marketing and all these things. So you present the product well, then the conversion journey, there could be a bit of back and forth supported by operations. That's why we said every function in your business is interdependent on one another. Marketing will need operations will need resource management, every function of the business needs finance because they need to be funded, like that, right? So the journey from the experiencing or knowing about your product all to the point where they now give you money for that product is that journey, all from that point to the end point is marketing and sales, everything in between. From the moment you put your product in front of them to the moment they pay for the product. So this drives customer acquisition and revenue generation by promoting products and converting prospects into buyers. So placing the product, putting the product to their consciousness, bringing the consciousness to their awareness, and engaging other practices and processes which AI can help you generate. You just have to give it sufficient information about your business model, what you offer, who you're offering it to. It can actually draft processes that you can adopt in your daily practices for your marketing and sales procedures. So even for your content marketing and things like that, you can get advice from generative AI. Then technology. Now, why people tend to say that technology was not in itself a function. It was just an enabler to other functions in business. However, technology has since in today's world, it is believed that every business should have its technology function as prioritized as every other function in its business to be able to stay competitive in business. Otherwise, they will quickly be disrupted. because it is no longer, technology is no longer an enabler through which functions or deliver their benefit to business, right? So you can say, oh, technology, I can manage my finance with technology, manage my resources with technology. That's a software that track inventory. I can manage your presence with technology. But technology is now, we now say it's a function within every business that should be taken seriously, right? Technology, you should have, dedicated amount of focus on technology as a function in your business, because it's a business driver. And of course, adopting AI too is technology, right? So you're competitive in business, you need to have technology, as much focus on technology. I hope we're getting value in this. So what we already said earlier, some critical optimization pointers. We have, something that helps you cut costs while not reducing your output, because normally when something cuts your costs, then the output, when cuts the amount of monetary input you are putting into it, it might reduce the output too. But if you're able to sustain your output and you're able to cut your costs, then that thing is obviously an optimization enabler. Then if it increases your output without you increasing your input, it's an optimization enabler. Of course, also input could mean your sales, it could mean the amount of things you're able to produce within the amount. Cost could mean your time, your money, any input. Then output could mean your amount of produced goods, volume of goods produced, volume of money made, volume of any performance indicator in your business, right? Market visibility, market share, whatever you're using to track output. So when you have not increased when something has not, increased your cost, but has increased your output, then you can say that is an optimizer. When something has not reduced your output, but has cut your cost, whether the time or the number of employee, your cost, monetary cost, hours of time, and things like that, is an enabler. Then, of course, saving time, it's also under cutting cost. Time is a cost too. By automating tasks, AI allows employees to focus on higher value activities. So you're able to get more done in the same amount of time. They are able to get quality work done as well. More quality, more could is not always quantitative. It's not only always quantitative, it could be qualitative too, right? Because they have AI supporting them now, they are able to get more quality work done compared to an average quality they could have delivered in the same amount of time. Better quality and better volume. So I want us to speed over this. We still have a AI integration across functions. So AI automates accounting and financial reporting. Of course, you can use generative AI to ask questions to do your financial analysis. You can also use AI software, not just generative AI, to automate your financial reporting. So if you join our entrepreneurial group, right? You should have the link in your you should have the link to join our entrepreneurial group in your email. If you are watching me right now, that must have been sent to your email. Join the entrepreneurial group. We share software recommendations, AI recommendations, and also is just templates also, or prompts. Prompts that you could use to do analysis. You can also ask questions that would answer in the group. So AI automates accounting and financial. So there could be recommendation for software, for AI softwares that you could use. Some are even free. Some are, they have test period and things like that. Then operations, of course, you can use AI to optimize your supply chain, right? From production to all the way by reducing shipping costs and storage costs, and even manage risk. You can use AI to manage risk, whether for execution, as in doing the thing, or by gathering information. You can use AI to gather very robust and customized, precise information for your own context, right? Strategic information. Then human resources, AI tools for recruitment. You can use AI tools for recruitment that you making sure that you're actually recruiting quality humans, quality people into your business. You're not recruiting, there is a proper interview process. You can use AI. Actually, there are AI agents that conduct interviews, so you don't need someone in HR anymore. There are AI pieces of software that and would review the resume, the CV of an applicant to even determine the eligibility. You don't have to sit and be going through. There are pieces of AI that, just cuts the time and increases the efficacy, the efficiency, effectiveness of what you're trying to achieve. So making sure that you attract and retain quality human as resources in your organization. Even for material resource management too, there are AI software, pieces of software to execute, and also you can use AI, generative AI, for research too, on the best practices, best methods to do that, right? As part of operations to research and development, because that's under production. When you're at the research phase of any product, especially if you're at the startup phase, the research you do that to have sufficient information about your production effort, the research about what product, the information you gather at the research and development points in your business. Also, AI could be leveraged heavily for that, especially generative AI. An example is ChatGPT. You could leverage that heavily for that. Microsoft Copilot. There are a lot of generative AI. Microsoft has their own, OpenAI owns ChatGPT. There are lots of them. Then sales and marketing, AI-powered tools, automate lead generation. There are AI tools to automate lead generation. So join our entrepreneurial group. You can ask questions. We can make recommendations. We have a collection of AI tools, actually, and we are constantly updating that repository, right? AI tools for different area functions in your business. And we have templates as well, and we can also teach you how to generate templates in any area of your business, like even, what's it called? The formats to get the best out of your generative AI. Like customer service, AI chatbots, like I said earlier, you could actually outsource the entire customer service team. We can train AI agents that chat live with customers without you having one person. So you don't have the risk of human error, human omission. And, they are sometimes also more affordable than, humans. And they are almost, excuse me, but they are almost more reliable because they are not calling in sick and things like that. That's in your business. And it can also help you start small, as maybe a small team of people. You are not saying, oh, it's because I don't have capital to recruit a big people. Even as a one-man business, you could leverage all these things for your business to run on auto. It gives you more capacity, and you are not stressed out. You are not constantly having to be everything for your business. You can leverage AI now. Then interdependence of business functions. So we are saying that when AI is integrated across all business functions, each function benefits from the insight and action of others. So, for example, data from sales can be used, when AI integration can be integrated in such a way that it is flowing into the analytics software for finance. So sales has data from finance. Finance has data from resource management. They're able to plan resources based on that, allocate resources. Like there's AI integration helps the synergy, and efficiency of every function in the business, the overlap of every function in the business, so that things that run smoothly. There is no bottleneck. There is no wait period of, one person is waiting to send this file. Data can be integrated, be shared with one another, and whether you're a small business too, you can actually, do in such a way that from one dashboard, you can get data by integrating from different portfolios in your business, from different agents, AI agents. You can drive data to one dashboard. So, you are not always stressed out trying to do things manually. Optimize resource allocation. AI-powered insight from one function can inform decision-making in others, leading to more efficient resource allocation. So per time, because AI is working constantly, it's not on vacation, it's not on break, it's gathering data. So your data is being used effectively in decision taking, how you allocate resources, knowing where resources are truly needed and where you can still hold off on resources. So it helps you stretch your resources. If you have little resource, it helps you allocate it effectively so that it's stretched, and it helps you get to your next milestone on your plan, on your roadmap. And that's collaboration. AI facilitates collaboration across departments by streamlining communication and creating shared data pools. AI is very effective. Data-driven decision-making. By sharing data and insight across functions, businesses can make more informed decisions, leading to better outcomes. And I would say that for your research effort too, every function in your business can use AI to optimize their approach to practice. like their processes, their policies, how they do things, their how, they can get more than enough insights or strategic direction with the help of AI. So we are saying that an example of interdependence is, we say customer relationship management is dependent on sales. Like in a typical business, right, where you have humans, the customer relationship management team, they are working hand in hand with sales. Why customer relationship management team? They are usually under operations because they are product support, right? Remember that operations is production, distribution, and post-distribution operations. So customer relationship management is usually under operations, but of course, there's interdependency. So these guys work hand in hand. So every corner in your business has to be connected to the other one because they work as a system. They don't work interdependently. They don't work independently. They work as a system to achieve your business goals. Okay, so let's talk about prompting. Generative AI. What does generative AI mean? Like I said, generative AI is a kind of AI that you give an input to you give it sufficient information to give you a specific output to trying to achieve something. So what is a prompt? Let's start from there. What does a prompt mean? A prompt is something that you give a set of instructions that you give to a generative AI to guide its processing or its analysis such that it gives you a targeted output. So there are times that your prompt could be simple and there are times that your prompt could be detailed, depending on the context. Well, for example, if you are trying to get a proper analysis of a situation, right, you have to give the AI sufficient information about that context such that it gives you precise output for that context. But if you're going to get something quite generic, you could just get a one-liner. So, for example, use for straightforward tasks requiring quick general information. See, something generic, right? So they encourage creativity. Then sometimes the AI is not precise. You just want to research broad, gather broad set of information. You don't have as much control. You're just really aiming for something generic, not something customized or precise. Then, for example, write a short story, compose a poem about nature, right? You are not precise on what you are trying to do with it. There is actually a framework that I taught in another module. It's called 5W and H framework. Now, with that framework, you are a guide on how to prompt what you are trying to achieve, who you want that AI to act as. That's a professional you want it to act as. Why you are trying to achieve it. That's who are your target audience for that. What you are trying to achieve with that, with the output you are trying to achieve. All those kind of things. So and how you would like it to give you its output. So I already recorded a training on that. So maybe you can watch that training as well. So with that, the 5W and H is used more for detailed prompts. That is for contextual, precise, customized output. Why do you want something to be customized and precise? Now, generative AI, like I said, is something you give information, whether a document, sometimes it's an attachment, you're giving an attachment and you're telling it to analyze that attachment to give you a certain kind of output, or whether an attachment or, an image or just your own text to generate an output to you. You can also specify in the format in which you want the output, whether as an image, as a table, as a document, as you can be precise. So now we have clarity on when we use simple prompts, one-liners, two-liners, and detailed prompts. For detailed prompt, we use 5W and H framework. The precision, is necessary for detail. So, for example, let's see the example here. Write a 500-word essay on the impact of AI on society using, that's the how MLA formatting. You give it some more precision, some more specification on that would influence how the data it gives you, the customization of the data it gives you, right? So you can use it as an example. This slide will also be in our entrepreneurial community. So if you need it, you can, if you want to send it personally, you can reach out to the admin of our entrepreneurial community and we can send it to you. Then Simple prompts used for straightforward tasks needing quick general information encourages creativity and variety, often leading to unexpected results. So maybe you don't have sufficient knowledge about the subject matter. You can have very minimal information. You just want to dive the first step. You just want to dive first into that subject matter. You can just say, oh, give me information about that topic. Then when the first set of information it gives you will be generic, then you can now start to pick things from the answer and now reject. Now ask more questions, ask more questions, ask more questions. Pick from each question, each set of answer, you pick so until you now become linear, until you get to the point of the knowledge you are driving at, right? Then if you have sufficient subject knowledge or insight in the subject matter, you can be precise on, you have clarity on what your end goal. You are not just researching broad. You have clarity, you have precision on what your targeted goal should be about. You can use more detailed prompt with the format of 5W and H that we trained on in another module. Okay, when to mix simple and detailed prompts. Start with a broad question. See, I said it earlier in the previous slide. Start with a broad question to gather general ideas and explore a topic, a topic. Example, what are some ways AI can improve customer service? So you can start with that. Then when it now gives you outputs, you can now start to drive now start to give it sufficient insights about your own unique context, like, what you're trying to achieve with it, where your customers are, all those kind of things. So that I can give you generic this thing, how you do some things you do, where this thing, what you're trying to achieve with it, or all those kind of things, so that it now gives you customized, but you want to have sufficient knowledge. You want to prompt generically first. If you don't have sufficient knowledge in maybe customer service processes and practices, you have generic outputs, then you extract from that generic output and you prompt further until you get sufficient insight to be able to prompt at a detailed level. And detailed level, 5W and H is a good framework for it, which we taught in another module. So you can ask, if you are in our entrepreneur community, if you need that video or that module, please reach out to our support. Again, this is another call for you to join our entrepreneurial community. Okay. So I think we talked about this already. When to mix simple prompt and complex prompt, detailed prompt. So yeah, this is a reference to the 5W and H framework for effective prompting. The who specified the prompt subject or actor. That's act as my financial analyst, act as my lawyer, act as my act as my mentor, act as my psychologist, act as anything. You can act as anything. Isn't that so cool? Then what they're trying to achieve, to give me advice on this, or to generate this, act as my process analyst to build a standard process document or standard operating procedure for, so what you're trying to achieve. Then where, so context or setting, give it sufficient, for example, if you are doing a research, or you can say, give me this thing in this, the space. It doesn't necessarily have to be a physical location. The space in which the context of that thing, the space of the context. So where, then when, you can say, give me a content plan for, I'm act as my social media strategist, create a content plan for a mom social media page for a 30-day content plan. So you are streamlining to know, so that the AI can know, okay, or you can say from this to this. So quantitative, just when it just gives it like turnaround time, or time window, anything, any time factor that is relevant to the context of your prompting. And this is for detailed prompting, don't forget. Then why? Your objective, like we said earlier, what you're trying to achieve with these words that you're trying to do. So it will help, it will refine, it will shape how it gives you that. And then how you can specify genetics as the method or the approach. Use this framework. You can say, use this framework if you know enough about that. Use this framework, or you can say, give this output to me in a tabular form, or give it to me in a document form, in a picture, in an image format. Those kind of things. How? So you put all this framework into consideration when you're trying to generate a prompt. It's better for you to know the framework rather than, I see a lot of coaches give you drafts, prompt drafts. That what happens is that, can you replicate them in another situation? But when you understand framework, when you find yourself in any situation, any use case, any context that you want to use generative AI, you are able to apply this framework and, to any situation. So other important factors for effective prompting, You have to be clear. So specific about your goals, like I told you, why, right? Your why. Avoid ambiguity. Clearly state your objective, what you're trying to achieve. Then your what and your why. Provide background information. If you're using detailed prompting, right, for very precise research or information, then you have to give background information. You have to give it all that it needs, about the existing situation. So, and then in connection with what you're trying to achieve, like your why, your objective, your what and why. Because that's what it will put all of that existing information, existing situation into consideration. For example, I'm trying to achieve 5 million customers by, for example, by December 2025. I presently have 1 million customers, right? What are some practical ways? That information can change the prompt that says, give me a strategy on achieving 5 million customers by December 25, without giving substantial context in, where you are on your journey, what your business does. It will put all your users, the market in which your business operates, the people you are targeting, all these nitty-gritties, all these details, contextual details will help it analyze precisely for your situation and give you a customized output that is valuable and functional, practical for you. Relevance, keep the prompt focus on the task at hand, eliminate irrelevant information. What we say, provide relevant as every important information. Make sure important and relevant. Don't give it things that do not add to the context, your present context or your future targets. Don't give it any information that you can end up confusing. Just be very focused on the matter at hand in terms of your present context and the future target, right? What you're trying to have it delivered to you. Then iteration, refine your prompt. So if you give it one prompt and maybe you feel like it's not hitting the nail on the head, you can still, prompt further and say, okay, based on the last answer you gave me, add this to it, take this away until you get your sweet spot, right? You can refine and refine and refine again. Again, you can start with slight prompt if you don't have sufficient knowledge about that subject matter and continue on that thread. So you've gathered sufficient insight to do detailed prompts. So the future belongs to AI adopters. Now, I want to say thank you for joining today's session. I hope you've gotten some value. Again, if you have any questions, join our entrepreneurial community, and the link to join must have been sent to your email. The goal is for us to build a supportive community of entrepreneurs all over the world, where every visionary, every creative feels supported, and to get started on that, they eliminate the fear of getting started. They have the support they need, the knowledge, sufficient knowledge, the direction, hand-holding, and they have the network of other entrepreneurs that cheer them on. We are actually presently building a web application, an entire network platform for entrepreneurs. But in the meantime, we are leveraging community softwares like Microsoft Teams to interact, and Facebook pages and things like Facebook groups to interact with our entrepreneurs and support them with templates, strategies, prompts, and even there are times that we do group with the membership. Right now, membership is free for anybody that has bought our course, is watching me right now. But it's a paid membership, right? But you get it free. If you're watching me right now, you are getting it free. You must have gotten the access to the community in your email. So we encourage you to join us. You get ongoing support, and we are holding you accountable. We are encouraging you, and you can do it. You are getting industry insights, industry information, critical information on where to find what, how to find deals, how to find AI software that makes that strategy approach quite lean. That means you are minimizing cost and you are maximizing output. You are eliminating waste, and you are also mitigating risk effectively. So go back to your email, join the entrepreneur community, and we'll see more of you there, and you get announcement at any further. If we have any live webinar, if any free video is available, we also share with our community members only. If we release any coaching model, you get a discount, exclusive discount for being a community member. There are lots of perks for being a community member. So we encourage you to join. Go back to your email and join now. I hope this has been an insightful session. There's another video that we demonstrate how to open an account with ChatGPT. ChatGPT is our case study. how to open an account with ChatGPT, and we do some prompting sessions so that you see. But in the meantime, if you're already familiar with ChatGPT or Copilot or any of the generative AIs of the big guys, that's Google has their own generative AI, Teams has, and OpenAI is a trendsetter right now in the space of generative AI. So any question on this training module? This is supposed to be an insightful session that gets you thinking and say, oh, how can I'll adapt all the things I've learned today in my business strategy. If you have any further questions, please ask in our community, and we're always there to interact and answer questions. That is the benefit of a community anyways. Thank you so much for watching to this level, and bye for now. Bye.